Hello and welcome to the England pre-brief. I'm talkSPORT's England correspondent Faye Carruthers. Alongside me today, the SJA's Football Writer of the Year, Henry Winter. How are you doing?
I'm good, nice to see you.
And you as well. And the Telegraph's football reporter Mike McGrath. You all right?
I'm good, Faye. Good to be here.
Excellent. Thanks for being on. Lots to talk about, especially bearing in mind 8 players have pulled out of Lee Carsley's original 26-player squad. Were you surprised by how many have pulled out, bearing in mind how important the game against Greece is and subsequently obviously the game against the Republic of Ireland at Wembley?
Yeah, it's a really good question and we've been debating it a lot, and I know you've been talking about it on talkSPORT. I actually thought it might have been more because I thought that particularly with all the debate about player workload, player fatigue, we're seeing injuries, we're seeing sort of tensions at Manchester City and Arsenal, obviously the injuries that they've got there, and they're slipping a bit behind Liverpool in the title race. Maybe one or two who are carrying niggles might actually sort of have a break because it's a crazy long old season. City and Chelsea got the Club World Cup at the end of it, so there is an element of sort of pacing. But you're right, these games are important. The fact that you're going out there, you're going out there as well. I mean, it's really important. England have got to go out there, very difficult place. We saw how good Greece were at Wembley, and get a result. Otherwise, Thomas Tuchel's first games in charge are going to be playoffs.
Yeah, and he said quite clearly, didn't he, in his press conference when he joined, that he wanted to start with a new tournament. He didn't want to take over and be doing Nations League games. Interesting what Henry said there, Mike, because there's a lot of talk on social media, as there always is, of course, about why some of the players have pulled out. We still don't know the reasons behind Phil Foden and Levi Colwill, for example, pulling out. Do you feel as if the clubs have had something more to do with this and they're managing load?
I certainly think that there are managers that would look at the players and would definitely prefer them to have a rest. I think even Pep Guardiola, he wasn't talking about an England player, but he said about Haaland, because he obviously plays every game. He said, well, maybe the international break is the chance for him to have a rest. With Phil Foden, he has been he's had kind of an abdominal stomach problem earlier in the season. He's just kind of getting back into rhythm. So, but as he said himself, he had fatigue at the start of the season. A few of them as well, though, did come off at the weekend, so I don't think there's any kind of smoke and mirrors there. They were subbed off in important games.
Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice,
so you would think that they were genuine knocks there. Obviously, in years gone past, there's been a few down the years. Some of the more influential managers, we've seen some of the big players pull out immediately. But this is, as Henry said, it's a must-win game for England to not be in the playoffs. So it is a really important game, maybe a window for those that are left here playing.
Yeah, a number of call-ups which we'll discuss in a second as a result of the 8 pull-outs that we've had. Aaron Ramsdale, I heard today, by the way, has fractured his finger, which is why he's had to pull out. We obviously knew that Trent Alexander-Arnold had a hamstring problem and saw Saka and Rice go off for Arsenal as well.
That's really frustrating for Ramsdale and for Southampton, because he was doing really well there, and it's frustrating as well because he got back into the England squad because it's quite sort of competitive, whether it's for the second or the third place. So that's a blow. Goalkeeper with a broken finger. It's not great.
There's a few tiny suggestions that because Thomas Tuchel isn't here, it's Lee Carsley's final 2 games, final dance, yes. In interim charge, Thomas Tuchel takes over officially on the 1st of January, although we are repeatedly told that he's not going to be in Athens or at Wembley for either of these games. It's very much Lee Carsley's squad. Could that be potentially a reason? The new manager's not here, so a possible.
On face value, sometimes you looked at it and thought, look, we've got an England manager, and he won't be here, and these players don't have to impress Lee Carsley, so there could be an element of that. But really, you when you speak to the players here at St George's Park, you get the feeling that every call-up matters, and I think that's something that Gareth Southgate brought back to the England squad since 2016, and you speak to the likes of Taylor Harwood-Bellis there today, and it really does matter that they're here, and like I said, it is a chance to seize an opportunity and just keep your place in Thomas Tuchel's plans for next year.
Yeah, it's really vital. You mentioned Taylor Harwood-Bellis there. I sat down and spoke to the Southampton defender earlier on. He spoke to the press and he had a fascinating few things to say to us. I started off by asking him about his first senior call-up. Hi Taylor, congratulations on your call-up. We always love to hear the story of how you found out, who you first told, family members as well as teammates.
Yeah, so Lee obviously rang me in the morning and just said, yeah, you'll be with us, you'll be with the seniors, and I obviously didn't quite believe it at first. It was a pleasant surprise. Obviously my partner was next to me, so obviously she knew, and then I phoned my dad, who was very proud. He loves England and loves the fact that I play for England even when it was the younger age groups. So he was so happy, and obviously told my mum, my family, and my family were just they were ecstatic. Yeah,
I bet they were. Any teammates that you spoke to, or anybody in the seniors that you maybe haven't spoken to that you've managed to grab a few moments with since you've been here?
Yeah, to be fair, one of the first people to message was Aaron Ramsdale. Obviously he was obviously injured now, so yeah, he messaged straight away, and I was happy to see his name just because obviously one of my mates at the club. So yeah.
You said that your sole focus is on staying in the side, being selected for every camp. Are you focused on the World Cup in 18 months' time, and what is it that's going to get you to that tournament?
I think the big focus now is the two games coming up, just because they're very important games. Obviously getting promoted out of this group. So yeah, I think that's the focus now. That's been the message from Lee and the staff. So yeah, I think the two games are very important.
And what attributes do you want Thomas Tuchel and, of course, Lee Carsley to see from you in this camp?
I think just being myself. It's the message I've always had. Just be yourself, be confident, and just do what you do at your club.
Taylor Harwood-Bellis speaking there. He'd love to get his senior debut on the cards, wouldn't he, potentially, at Wembley in front of his family. First senior call-up as well for Morgan Rogers, Henry, who we've been calling for a while. And I was actually at Craven Cottage a few weeks ago for Fulham's game against Aston Villa, and the FA's technical director, John McDermott, was there, and I could see him scribbling in his notebook every time Morgan picked up the ball. He's going to have a point to prove, isn't he?
He is, but that's what elite sportsmen and women do. They've always got a point to prove. But I've seen him a fair bit, obviously, with Villa, but also with the under-21s, and he's a talent. I mean, when he gets up speed very quickly. He's strong. Defenders bounce off him, whether he's sort of going down the left or whether he's playing more centrally behind Ollie Watkins, as he does so effectively for Aston Villa. He's a real threat. His only issue is that England have got so many players, not completely of his type, because he's pretty unique, but who can play out wide and who can play. I mean, how many number 10s have England got? Well, he's not exactly a number 10, but he can drive forward from midfield. But also England on the left, not short of options. England on the right, where he's played. But yeah, no, it's good to see him there, and that's why it should be a meritocracy. Form should be rewarded, and his form absolutely has been good. I mean, talk to Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough, and he'll tell you that how important he was for them. And I think his last game was actually at Stamford Bridge. You might have been there, Mike, and Faye, you'd have been there. In the FA Cup, and he came off the bench and he scored, and that was, I think, pretty much his farewell. And Middlesbrough really missed him, that energy. So absolutely, he's an elite level player who's had an interesting journey. I can remember when he was playing in League One at Lincoln City, travelling around all over the place, developing as a person as well as a player. So he hasn't had, he's 22, so he's still young, but he hasn't had exactly the smoothest journey, so stepping out of an elite academy into the England squad. And it obviously means a lot for him. We find that quite a lot actually within this England squad, don't we? I think there's actually quite a lot of importance placed on the experience that players have, in the pyramid, which is really big. And he's had a great season, 3 goals, 2 assists so far. Played 11 times, I think, under Unai Emery for this season. And he's growing into a player that could be really useful for England going forward.
I've seen him play really well in the central area, actually a bit deeper, and then driving Villa forward. He's a huge kind of part of that success that Villa have had this season, and I think he's kind of schooled in the Manchester City way that he and Harwood-Bellis have, and then made that brave decision to go elsewhere and really learn his football, and I think what a really good kind of spot from Villa as well to take a player from the Championship and give him a chance. And I've been really impressed with him. And I think, like you said, I think that obviously forward areas he can do a lot of damage. There is a little, with Declan Rice not there, I think in central midfield, if you're playing 3 central midfielders in the next couple of games, he could even have a chance in that area.
Yeah, no Kobbie Mainoo, of course, still out injured. So, it's a problem position anyway there. No Adam Wharton, though, which I thought was quite interesting in the original squad. But, Livramento brought back in Jared Branthwaite as well. He had to train indoors, actually, today, 23 of them out on the grass for the training session earlier on. James Trafford brought in, and Jared Bowen, who we've not seen in any of the autumn internationals so far.
Yeah, if you talk to West Ham fans, he's been one of their few shining lights of a difficult season, because he just gives absolutely everything, whether he's playing out on the right, whether he's playing through the middle, if they've got sort of issues at centre forward. I mean, he absolutely deserves it, because whenever you see him play for West Ham, whenever you see him play for England, he gives absolutely 100%. I know every professional should, but even if he's carrying a slight niggle, Jared Bowen is out there. So no, it was good to see. He walked out, I think, with Harwood-Bellis, and sort of chatting away and almost like sort of welcoming him in, because he is that sort of captain type. So it was good to see him back.
Sitting down with Lee Carsley last week when he announced his final squad, I asked him whether or not Thomas Tuchel was going to have any influence on it at all. You can see with Taylor Harwood-Bellis included and Lewis Hall as well, this is very much Lee Carsley's squad, it feels. And he said no, he's had a couple of text messages with him, but no actual proper sit down and chat, and the handover will come later, which I think all of us in the press room have sat down and discussed and found a little bit strange. Has to be contractual reasons to it, something that perhaps we haven't had confirmed, because if you're taking over a big job like this essentially for 18 months and yet you're not meeting the players, getting to know them, etc., and just watching on a laptop or a television, it feels a bit odd to me.
Well, I suppose that in international football, it moves along so quickly. I'm just even thinking back to some, down the years, some people making really late runs into World Cup squads. Aaron Lennon coming from nowhere.
Theo Walcott
coming from nowhere. Things change so quickly that, to be honest, March is quite a long time away. And maybe it is quite. I think it's fine for Carsley to have his own imprint on these squads. And then what will happen later on in March will happen. Thomas Tuchel has relationships with players who are not in the squad at the moment. He signed Raheem Sterling. The players like that have got points to prove, and things can change between now and March. And also, I think, like you said, it has a real Carsley look about it. Talking about those front players, Gordon and Noni maybe playing, those under 21 players that he knows so well. I think if he's going to try and get some results, which he needs, that they're players that he really trusts as well, rather than somebody picking his squad for him.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't understand it. I think he should be here now.
Yeah.
I think that, not simply because the FA are paying him a lot of money, and I have huge respect for Lee Carsley, having watched the under-21s and seen them win the trophy last year. But if you are appointing this individual, this fantastic coach in Thomas Tuchel, to win you the World Cup, the clock starts ticking now, because he's got probably 18, 19, 20 games with qualifiers friendlies, and then what would it be? They keep expanding it. Say 8 games out in the stateside. Then get him in now. You know, even if he was going out to Athens, to see what the players are like around the hotel, just to see how they interacted, the relationships with each other, the relationships with staff. Are they good people as well as good players? Watching them on the grass, having team meetings, saying this is my philosophy, this is my discipline. Whether we're going to have the normal stories that we have about no tomato ketchup and things like that, or whether it's their fines or whatever for being late for training.
No flip-flops.
No flip-flops, absolutely. Yes, we've had a few England managers who flipped and flopped. But just things like that, just to sort of, you know, like your sort of first week in a new job, just finding out where everything works and just sorting that. Obviously, you can look at videos and talk to people, but just build up those relationships early. So for me, the clock is ticking, and he should be here now.
I think there has to be something contractual in it that he can't, that for some reason he cannot do it.
Clients say no, don't they? I mean, apparently there's nothing, there's no gardening leave or anything like that. Mike would probably know more.
Perhaps. Look, Carsley was appointed for the 6 games. Maybe it's that he sees.
But we can't be sensitive. England have waited for 60 years to get a tournament.
I take that point that I remember Gareth and Steve Holland would literally count down the sessions that they have. There's so few of them between tournaments, and this is 2 games where a manager is working with his players. And in March, I suppose there could still be Nations League games that we're talking about still. So it would have, having seen him once, it could have been good to see him a bit more.
Equally, they might be sitting there thinking, you know, Lee Carsley deserves to be given this camp and maybe has more chance of winning the 2 games, having played both the sides already. In the Nations League and implementing his style rather than a new manager coming in and having, you know, a few weeks essentially to work
optimism.
it out. I always try and be balanced, you know that. But this Greece game is so crucial in terms of, as Henry mentioned earlier, really the last thing that England want to be doing is having to play Nations League playoffs. They want to be back in League A because that's vital in terms of their preparation for the World Cup and the World Cup qualifiers. It's really big. What do they need to do? I mean, I don't think we're going to see the kind of cars ball that we perhaps saw at Wembley in that kamikaze-esque game against Greece. But away to Greece is a different prospect. What do they need to do?
I think compared to that Wembley game, they have to be a lot more rigid in terms of their system, which is fascinating to watch at Wembley, but also really, really enjoyable to watch how Greece put it apart. They had excellent athletes first and foremost who got around the pitch superbly, and when they got on the ball, their central midfielders were passing the ball all over Wembley. It was really, and obviously the striker got the goals. So there's got to be a much more mature performance from England in all departments.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's nothing more to say on that, is there? It needs to be a more mature performance. We'll focus on Republic of Ireland again in a second because I did sit down and speak to another player, Liverpool midfielder Curtis Jones, earlier on, and I asked him how good life was for him at the moment because he's just become a new dad. Of course, Liverpool are top of the Premier League table. Arsenal and Manchester City are dropping points. So life is good, and an England call-up as well. Curtis, new dad, top of the league. Arsenal and City dropping points. Life's pretty good for you at the minute. England call up, most importantly.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing I'd say was obviously the birth of my child and my girlfriend's all fine and stuff. And then secondly, the form at our club, yeah. I mean, you know, I've came in, I say it all the time, you know, I just want to play with a smile on my face. I just want to enjoy it. And I think now I'm at the point where I'm getting the best out of myself, and the call up will always come with form at the club. So yeah, it shows, you know, that I'm doing well. And then the other 2 teams that you said there, yeah, they're dropping points, but they're still amazing teams, and we still know that, you know, they'll always be chasing us. They're still, again, you know, they're fantastic teams. So we know that the ball is in our court, so we just need to go and play and win.
Feels like a really open season this year.
Yeah, the opinions, at the beginning was, you know, we you know, a new coach is coming in, There's going to be a new style of play, and different lads are going to play. And I think there was fans and there was pundits around that were saying, yeah, it's going to take them a little while. So I think that the opinions on that have changed as well now. We're doing well in the Prem, we're doing well in the Champions League as well. And the cup game as well, that we've played as well, we've done well. So it shows that we've got a big team, an important team, and yeah, we're doing well, so I'm enjoying it.
The Arne Slot effect feels very much as if he's literally just come in and hit the ground running. A lot of people have been talking about the improvements that they've seen from you as well this season. What do you attribute that to? Is there something that he's come in and kind of tweaked with you that's a bit different?
I mean, yeah, I've improved, but again, I'm almost on 150 games, so it's not as if I've had 100 plus bad games. Jürgen and his staff, they always showed faith in me. I've had injuries, there's been stuff along the way where, being out of the team, so, it's always hard, if you're in and out of the team. I feel that this has been a point where I've came in the team and I've played well and I've kept my place. And I say it all the time that the more games that I play, the better that, I play. That just comes with more experience, your fitness and stuff. So I'm at a point now to where, I'm coming in the games and I'm not overthinking everything and thinking, it's my chance, I really have to prove, otherwise I'm out the team. I'm just in the team and I just know, I've proved in the past games, the player that I am, and I'm just going into the game, I'm just enjoying it more, I think. I'm just enjoying it more. It's a style of play that I think that suits me more, that allows me to really be me.
Do you think it's a psychological tweak then, or maybe a maturity that comes with?
I think it's the maturity, yeah, and the experience as well, and kind of like a fresh start as well. I think that Jürgen and his staff have done an amazing job, and then Arne and his staff have came in, and the style of playing, everything has changed, and the way we go and press and stuff. But again, yeah, I think it suits me more. Again, as a fresh start, so I thought, yeah, I'll just attack it and I'll give it everything I can.
Lee Carsley said that you're one of the players with the best ability in terms of who he's worked with, and now you're showing consistency at a high level with goals and assists, and obviously that then shows with the call-up. But I'm wondering, you mentioned there 150 appearances for Liverpool.
Almost 150.
I think. You need to know your numbers.
Yeah. In and around there.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. And yet, we've not seen you in the England senior side actually make your debut yet. Are you hoping it's this camp that you get to show everybody what you can do on an international senior stage?
I think so, yeah. I think so. Again, there's been bumps in the road that, there's been times when I had a call up and I knew I was going to go, but then I had an injury and stuff, so then the team comes out and then my name isn't there and everyone thinks that it wasn't in the squad, but there was times when I actually was going to be in the squad, but had the injuries and stuff. And then yet again, I say it all the time, the call-ups come by how well that you do at your club. And I go back and I say, yeah, I'm on a good run now, I found my feet. I found the form, enjoying it. So yeah, I hope that this is going to be my debut. It's 2 important games, so hope I can be involved.
Second time in 6 months, you're effectively having to impress a new head coach coming in. With Thomas Tuchel joining in January, obviously looking ahead to the March camp. What attributes do you want him to see that you bring?
I just want to be me, and that's all I ever say. I just want to be accepted for me and the player that I am and the lad that I am. I work hard every day. I try and be a good lad around the camps and stuff. But the most important thing, is I'm starting to like really show now that I can score goals, I can assist, and I can really help teams. And everybody again, talking about the form, that I found. But again, I'll go back to it and say, I've had almost 150 games, so it's not like I've had 100 plus bad games and I've only had the last good 6. So yeah, I hope they see, that I'm good enough to play, if I'm in a Liverpool team that's challenging for Champions League and the Premier League and stuff, and I'm a big part of that team, then I don't see why I can't be a big part of the team here as well.
Anthony Barry is from Liverpool.
Yeah,
do you know him already?
I don't know him personally, but I know of him. Yeah, I know of him. But I don't want everybody to say, yeah, it's going to be like a huge help for me because he's a Scouser, and so am I as well. At the end of the day, you know, they've got a job on their hand, they've got a team to pick, and again, it goes back to form at the club. So as long as I'm there and I'm playing well and I'm playing every week and I'm scoring goals and I'm assisting, then it will take care of itself.
Is he the manager to win England the World Cup?
I don't want to put any more pressure on him than what he's probably already got and what he's probably already seen and heard. But yeah, you know, his experience with, he's won the Champions League. You know, he's of course known as one of the best as well. So yeah, it's a different type of challenge. But I'd like to think, he's going to come in with the same ambitions, and his style of play and stuff is going to suit all the lads as well. So only time will tell, but hopefully, yeah.
Just finally, 18 months till the World Cup. How desperate are you to be part of that squad?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to say it. I think as any player should, it's the stuff that you want to be involved in and be a part of. The team is so exciting now, and plus there's more young lads who I know as well who are coming through. That I've experience with as well. We've already won the 21s. So I think now there's already eight of us here. There's already 2 who have gone home. So as 10 of us there. So we can all be around each other and in the same squad. Then it'll be massive. But yet again, if I'm playing games at the club and I'm doing well, I'm scoring goals and I'm getting assists, then hopefully I'm part of the squad. It's a long way away yet. There's plenty of games at the club, so I'll take care of that, and then we'll see if I get me called up. But hopefully.
Curtis Jones there looking ahead to the World Cup in 2026. I mean, he's come through with some incredible youngsters, hasn't he, already, Henry, but so many players vying for his position, as we mentioned earlier on, in terms of Morgan Rogers and the problems that he's had getting into the squad.
But he's forced his way into the Liverpool starting team, and he's effectively in there ahead of Szoboszlai, who's captain of his country. So obviously Arne Slot sees something special in him. He brings something different, that ability to sort of drive forward with that left foot, just creating little sort of opportunities for others. And it was interesting watching him at training this morning. He looked even taller, just sort of close up. I don't know what it is, but when he got on the ball, he came even more to life. So he didn't look phased being out there. The senior players were pinging balls at him in the rondo, and he was controlling them instantly. And he looks at home, and as you say, the confidence of doing well at the top of the table, new baby. Now he wants to deliver with England.
I know. I mean, you heard him say there, he feels like he's had a maturity brought to his game. He was full of respect for Jurgen Klopp and his backroom staff, but obviously has progressed a little bit further, it feels. He thinks that's experience more than anything specific that Arne Slot and his team around him have brought. But this is a really key point in his career, because he said he's been close to the England squad on a number of occasions before and had to pull out for various different reasons. Could we see him finally get his debut?
Well, I'm sure that over the next 2 games we will see some minutes from him. I think just reward for kind of the hard work, getting through some of the injury problems that he's had, because technically I think it's always been there for him and he's always been excellent on the ball. And obviously the work that he's done with England under-21s and the youth teams and all that is part of the pathway to get to this point, and now it's about seizing that chance that he's got at Liverpool and with Lee Carsley, and give himself a chance to stay in the plans under Thomas Tuchel for the World Cup in 2026.
Yeah, it's going to come around quickly. We're going to be saying 26 quite a lot, aren't we, as well? And I need to learn how to say Tuchel properly, because you're clearly saying it right. I've always said Tuchel. It's a bit tomato, isn't it? Perhaps.
I'll stay with Thomas.
Oh no! Don't be that Ange type person. Please don't do that, Henry. I always thought better of you.
I always call you Faye.
That's okay. That's different. The youngsters, though, if we go back to Lee Carsley and perhaps what the legacy that he will have left on this autumn internationals that he was given, bringing the under-21s up into the seniors quite seamlessly for some of them is maybe going to be the best thing that he'll be remembered for. It was quite bold in many ways, I think.
Very bold. Obviously, he knew the under-21s. Mike rightly talks about the pathway. Angel Gomez, just to see him play. I mean, we knew he was doing well at Lille. We obviously knew the Manchester United origins, roots and everything. And he was a revelation on the pitch. And it was interesting, actually, there was some French TV here today doing, why have the English suddenly fallen in love with Angel Gomez? Do you actually like, Ligue 1? So that's great. So in terms of his legacy, I mean, Lee Carsley's legacy with England will partly be scrambled by all those number 10s he tried to and failed to get into the team against Greece. But the promotion of the under-21s. And if you look at the under-21s and you see how they play now, even in friendly games, they're absolutely gunning for it because they know the door is open to the senior dressing room. And
that's really key, isn't it? The amount of times I come to St George's Park and the word pathway has been used, we've not seen it implemented with the coaches quite clearly, but we have seen it implemented with the players.
Absolutely. From Gareth onwards, there is reward if you're doing well for your club, and then up through the under-21s or even younger in the likes of Jude Bellingham. I think Carsley, he's a believer in that. Anthony Gordon didn't get any minutes or got a minute or two in the Euros and that, and he's going to feature quite heavily for Lee Carsley during his tenure. What will he be remembered for? Probably the kind of muddle that him and the FA kind of got in over. Do I want the job? Am I in for the job? Am I out of it? And that confusion as well. We might look back on that episode and think that was a bit of a strange time. Will it be remembered? It probably if Thomas Tuchel is successful, it probably be a footnote of the last couple of years when you head to a World Cup.
Yeah, we talked about Greece earlier on. Obviously, we knew the story with Lee Carsley having played for Republic of Ireland, over 40 caps. Republic of Ireland at Wembley. Obviously, they'll be hoping that they're following up a big win out in Athens, which would then mean that they have to win the game against Republic of Ireland in order to top the group finally. Yeah, and I think they will. The second part of the equation, you would expect them to complete in terms of beating Ireland before, a passionate English crowd. I imagine it's going to be, there's so many elements to it. Lee Carsley's last game. I mean, from what Mike was saying, I think he was put in a terrible position by the Football Association because all parties must have known that Thomas Tuchel, both of them had actually signed. And they would have known that, and he was sitting in there being asked, questions by Mike and me and Paul Joyce and others, and you as well, and saying, well, what are your plans? And he said, well, hopefully I'll go back to the under-21s. And it was a bit of a mess. And he's a decent guy who stepped into a difficult situation with England. Very proud of doing a fantastic job with the under-21s. He's the last male manager who's won a trophy for a while. So, I felt for him for a bit because he cares about this England team and he didn't deserve to be put in that situation. Yeah, I agree. And hopefully he can finish on two big wins. Of course, we'll have both of those games live on talkSPORT. Greece on Thursday night and then followed by Republic of Ireland on Sunday at Wembley. Henry, thank you very much. Pleasure. Mike,
thanks for having me, Faye.
Thank you for being with us. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed what we've brought you here on the England pre-brief. We'll bring you all the latest from all the England camps across talkSPORT's YouTube channel, of course, and the debriefs with our top team of Stuart Pearce, Adrian Durham and Jim Proudfoot. And after each England game, don't forget you can visit the website talksport.com to see Henry Winter's latest work with his big match verdict. And of course you can check out our friends over at the Telegraph as well with Mike's latest work in and around all the England matches. Thanks so much for joining us and we'll see you again soon.